Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. Today I am going to show you how to make a foam-free candelabra. So to start with, I have used a very small 8-inch wreath frame, the metal ones, same ones that we use at Christmas, and I have mossed it in exactly the same way I would moss a Christmas wreath. There is another video on my channel, so if you're not sure on how to do that, go on back to that video, and it's a very, very short video just showing you how to moss up your wreath ring. Once I'd done that, I popped it onto the arms of the candelabra and secured it by just popping some wires through and then twisting them on. So it is nice and secure on here. I've already foliaged up my candelabras. I like to do this in advance. I find trying to do everything the day before the wedding can be a little daunting, especially if you are short of time. So by foliaging up in advance, it means that when you come to put the flowers in, you're already a step ahead. You're being your future friend. And that's what being a wedding florist is all about. It's all about forward planning and organising yourself. So to foliage this up is exactly the same way I foliaged up my Advent wreath. So I have just cut down the foliage and placed it in. The same way you would do if you were using floral foam, but we're not. So it's all ready to go. What I am going to do though, my moss when it came in was a little on the dry side. And although I have sprayed it before putting the foliage in, I am going to add some water to it. And I have this. It is an orchid feeder. You can buy them from places like Amazon. They're great for filling up test tubes, really, really versatile. But because it's got this pointed nozzle and it's curved, it means I'm not just tipping water onto the wreath. I can actually get in there and get the moss nice and wet, ready for the flowers to go in. So now the moss has been watered, I am going to start to pop my flowers into the design. I have got them all ready in a pot here, so what I have allocated to go into it. What I will say is that I do find using moss, you use less material than if you were using foam, because if you can see a little bit of the moss, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't look ugly like the foam does. But just to run through, we have some Royal Porcelaina spray roses, a really beautiful blush pink. They class it as ivory, but it is actually got a tone of pink to it. We have Silver Bell roses. These I haven't seen until the end of last year. They're a beautiful rose, very pale pink, but they open up really, really nicely. And they're a good price. So that's one to remember. Also have some santini chrysanthemums. They are chrysanths, but they don't look like chrysanths. Very, very pretty. Some veronica. Good old carnations. This variety is called Legay Pink. A beautiful dusky pink, which is why I will use them. These are really, really beautiful. And if you have got that kind of dusky pink colour scheme, which is really popular, the blush pinks, the dusky pinks and the ivory, this is a really good flower to use because there isn't a lot in this colour. I'm picking up the dusky pink and the roses. We have some cappuccinos. Cappuccinos are beautiful, but they do have a very small head on them. So just something to be mindful of. And then lastly, we have some white roses, we have avalanche, and we have some countdown. So how I start any design is I group, funnily enough. I know if you've watched a few of my videos now, you all know that grouping is my thing. So I'm going to start by popping in the roses. Now, because we're working into moss, one of the things to be aware of is that your stems don't come out the other side of the moss. It does happen. I noticed it when I was doing the foliage. So I'm going to pop in some roses, turn it round. If you've got a Lazy Susan, use a Lazy Susan. I do have one, but it is absolutely atrocious. It doesn't work very well, so I've abandoned it and I just actually twist it round on the workbench instead, which is fine. You don't need all these gadgets. What you will find as you're putting your material in, you might get some of the moss drop out. Absolutely fine, it happens. The nice thing is, having used floral foam in the past, you end up, when you're using floral foam in a candelabra, you end up with just all this water everywhere. You don't get that with the moss. So it does definitely have its benefits. And plus it's better for the environment. And we're all looking at ways in which we can help the planet. And as a florist, this is one of the ways that we can do that. I have been a little bit later coming to the foam-free party. I think when you're used to using a method, it takes a lot to change the way that you think and the way that you operate. It's also really good to speak to other florists. So, for example, this mossed ring idea, I did a dance class earlier in the week, and me and another florist go. We're both local. We both are wedding florists. We're also very good friends. There's no kind of competition between us. If anything, we're very, very supportive. And I was saying to her that, you know, I had these candelabras to do and I wanted to do them foam free. And I sort of told her my thinkings of what I was going to use fibre Floral, which is the foam free alternative from Oasis. And she said to me, well, I did some, and I did them on a moss base. And I was just like, that's a brilliant idea, because at one time I would have actually done these on an Oasis frame and put it on. So it's like, no-brainer, I know that will work. So yeah, speaking with others within your industry is a really, really good way. Sorry, I'll get my hand out of the way. A really, really good way of talking about new techniques. So we're just building up everything into the design. We're making sure that some bits are going under as well as on the top. And you will have your candles going in, so try and keep where the candle holders are clear. They will burn down. Even non-drip candles will burn, and even ones that say that they're 8 to however many hours, you will be surprised how quickly, especially if there's a door open in the venue or there's air conditioning on, just that bit of draft accelerates the burning process, and you don't want to have material catch on fire. So just building these up. The cappuccino roses I am dotting through just because they're the only bit of colour and I don't want the colour all in kind of one place. And it is February. We've just had Valentine's Day. You know, so sometimes it can be a little bit limited on what is available at this time of year. But there's always things around that you can use. With the spray roses, the Royal Porcelaina are great because they've got loads of kind of longish stems, so you can break them down. And then you get kind of more for your money. A very important thing to remember is when they're on the tables, you won't be able to see the top bit of them. However, if the venue where they're going has an upstairs where people can look down, they are going to be able to see the tops. So make sure that they are covered. So whether that would be foliage or some flowers, it's a really, really important thing to remember. There is nothing worse, and photographers are renowned for going upstairs and taking like a bird's eye view of the room ready to go. And if you've got gappy flowers, it looks horrific on the pictures. And what you can do is once you have all your flower material in, if you do think, oh, actually there's a bit of a gap there, you can then infill with a little bit of foliage if you want. I have got some wax flower, which I am going to just place around. Wax flower is a much nicer flower to use. It's scented in a nice way. It is definitely more of a wintry foliage. I generally wouldn't use it in the summer, but in all honesty, it's hard to get hold of anyway. So if I was going to use anything like tulips or anemones in this design, I would probably be tubing them on a stick because their stems are too soft to get in. The other thing you can do is get a stem or a cocktail stick or a kebab stick, make a hole in the moss and then put your flower in. But personally, I would probably tube just to be on the safe side. And there we go. There's your finished candelabra, all ready to go. All we need to do now is to pop some candles in, light the candles, and it's done. The candles that I've gone for are a colour called Sahara. I always try to use colour candles. I really feel they elevate a design rather than just a cream bog standard candle. Coloured candles, really, they're not that much more expensive and they are so worth the money. Last thing we're going to do is give it a good spray. I am using some Glory on this just to make sure the flowers are beautifully hydrated. One of the questions I am asked all the time is, how would I transport this? They're not the easiest things in the world to transport, as you can imagine. So I use a square bucket. I pack the bottom of it with bubble wrap that I keep hold of. Any packaging that comes, I'm a bit of a hoarder, although I hate hoarding, but I will hoard packaging because that can then be put around the bottom to stop it wobbling. But I'll also use a top on the bucket as well, and generally that keeps it nice and secure. When I load them in the van, I load them so there's no room in between the buckets, and then I make sure I have something wedged either side so they don't move around too much. And whilst I'm driving to the venue, I do drive extremely carefully, extremely slowly, and pray that I don't have to do an emergency stop. Always take some spare flowers with you, so if you do need to do a little bit of titivating when you get there, you can do. But in England, where I am, we have very, very short amount of time at venues. So tomorrow's wedding is at 1:30. I can't get in the venue until 10:30. So it gives me 2 hours to do everything that I need to do, which is why I'm always so prepared. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to make a foam-free candelabra. It's been lovely having you here. I hope you've picked up some hints and tips to help you along your floral journey. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I love hearing or reading, shall I say, your comments. So anything at all, pop it in the comments below. It's always nice to know that you're enjoying the content that I am creating for you. If you're thinking about becoming a florist, We do have our online flower school starting soon. I'll pop a link in if you'd like to register interest for that. It will be a mixture of online. If you want to do it all online, you can do, but there will be workshops along the way as well to help with the practical skills, and I will be there to help you with those. So until next time, I hope you have fun flowering.